Hello YouTube, welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob and today I'm going to do a video I promised I'd do. I had tried doing tape on my drill bit and that moved. I tried to do tape on here, it also moved. So we're going to remedy that problem. Basically what I've got here is I've pulled my ram in far enough and gave it a half a turn or more. I might have did a whole turn, I can't remember. A whole turn more of extracting the shortest one. So if it will just retract this one, it's sure to retract that one. So let's just do it one more turn here, half a turn. Alright, so we know that that's not sticking, so it has to go further in order for it to happen. So now that's what I have right there, how much I have left to work with is, or as a mounting bracket to put on here for attaching a piece. So what I've come up with, and it's not complete yet, is this thing right here. And what that's going to do is going to set right there on it. And I'm getting ready to go over and trim this side off to match this side. And the reason I'm doing that is so I have a place to put a set screw right here directly in the middle. Now the bottom I might leave like that, just depends. And then I'll have a set screw here. Alright, well then, bring you back over here. Then we're going to take this, and we're going to take this piece here off. And we're going to make a plate, so far as what I think I'm going to do, is make a plate that goes on the same size as the back of this, but longer on the width. Long enough that I can go to the bottom of my stock here, this edge, and put 2 screws in it right here to mount that on there wherever it's supposed to go, which would be right up here close. So then we've got to, once we take this bracket off, drill a hole in there, countersink it for a screw. And then once we've got that where it's supposed to be, then we can cut this off right here. And I've measured the travel and I've got plenty of places, or plenty of room. So my travel is going to be less than what this is. So I've got 3-inch travel here. If I cut it right there at the edge of this, that way my finger's not bumping into it all the time. You know, in case I take my wheel and do it this way, I'm not going to be bumping into it too awful bad, we hope. But that's the idea. So right now what I need to do is go ahead and cut this side here down to match this side, and then we're going to find us some set screws to put here and here. Now I may take and make this side the same size as this widthwise, simply because when I round that off it'll just look like a collar. At least that's the thought behind this, is rounding that off. And then we'll probably take and round the whole thing off, but then leave this flat spot on the side of it. We don't know yet. I might just make it bold and beautiful. And I'm going to use brass pins inside the set screw holes so I don't mar up my ram. because the top one's going to be right on the threads. I mean the readout. But it would make more sense to put the set screw here and on the back rather than here and here. I mean, you could probably do one on the bottom too, but this side it would make no sense because you're going to be having to pull the DRO off to get to the set screw, and you don't want to have to do that. So you want to be able to take the whole thing off at one unit. So this is all going to be just an attachment that attaches to this, and 2 screws here, 1 screw here, 1 set screw here, 1 on the back side, and then we'll just trim it accordingly however I feel like trimming it to what look I want. We got to get the functionality done first. So the first thing we want to do is cut that off right there, and I think I'm going to leave it this size. That way I have plenty of room for my brass pin. This here is kind of shallow. That's going to be an awful small set screw, or short. So we'll get started on that. Alright, so now we're over here at the bandsaw, and I couldn't get this in here right. I tried to do this number, and as you can see I tried to do a mark, but it's hard to do a turn like that. And I was thinking I could have turned it over here and just used something to square it off, like a square piece of metal back here on the back side, and square it off and then tighten it in the right position. But it still fell on the round side, so now I have to rethink my strategy. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set that there, and I'm going to utilize that hole that a set screw goes in to do your repeater bar. So since I ain't using the repeater bar, we're going to use this. So we're going to get this lined up where it should be. Something like that right there. We'll raise this back up. And we're going to set this right on there, just over top of that hole. I don't know if this is going to work. You guys are going to find out just like I am. I'm hoping it don't spin on me. But there's something else I can do to help that from spinning. I can set that right there. And use these and clamp down on it, and that's the purpose of this plate right here. Alright, so now that's not going to allow it to spin. So now we can double check our work here. Alright, right there's where we want it. Now we're going to tighten this down and hope it don't move. Alright, it ain't going nowhere. I don't think so. Alright, so now we're going to check this again. And I think that'll work just fine. But I just seen a problem. Now I've made a stop. So now I'm going to have to shorten that piece. So we're just turn that piece around. Just something like that. Butt that up against the side of that. And then tighten it down. And watch it move. Now when I'm going to start in a round spot, the first thing I want to do is just lightly hold up on it and let it get a track first. Once it gets a track, then it's not going to jump off. But if you just let go of it to start with, it's going to jump on you to the side and try to ride the contour of that round. So you want to let it track first. So you're just barely holding the pressure on. And then you can just lightly go into it and let it go do its thing. Now it's got a groove. So now I can let go of it. Look, no hands. So we'll let that cut and we'll be back. Alright, now we're back over to the lathe and I've got that piece made. Now we're not worried about the corners yet. We're going to do something to trim that up, but for now we've got it to where we can set it on there. My next step is going to be figuring out where this flat spot here is going to be cut. Alright, so in order to find that out, I'm going to have to make the bracket for the DRO itself. And I think you guys are a little low here. Let me bring you up here a little bit. Basically what I want to do is make that bracket to mount this right here to where this is parallel to the top of this. So we know that it's going straight. And once we've got this mounted, then we get to figure out, we'll be able to figure out where we need to make our flat spot. But we want this mounted first so we can determine that. If we go just a little bit too much, we can always use a little teeny tiny thin plastic washer or something to shim it. If we go too far, we'd probably have to shim the bracket. But we want to try to get it as close as possible so we don't have to use shims. So the next thing is making this plate. So we're going to try to find something to make the plate out of and go from there. We'll be right back. Alright, so now we've got our plate made, and it's just a piece of that mud flaps. And I would like to have a better piece that didn't have the ridges on it, but I think this will work out okay. I'd rather have a flat piece of aluminum. So now I've mounted it to the back side of that and countersunk these so that they wouldn't protrude out from the back side. Now I'm going to put that right there to where it's about 1/8 of an inch from the edge up here, and then I'm going to put it right there where it's at the top. So now the next thing I need to do is I need to take my scratcher and just scratch me a line right here. Alright, the reason for that line is so that now the difference between here and here I can split in half and make me a line going across there halfway in the middle between here and here. Alright, then I'll come about 1/2 inch from the edge and make me a cross. Now those will be where I put my screw holes. And then once I've got these put on here, or the holes drilled, then I'll go ahead and mount that where I want it. And basically what I'm going to do is just eyeball it. Alright, then I'm going to draw this hole on the tailstock on both of these two holes. Then I'll take it off, drill it, tap it, and go from there. Alright, once I've got that on there, then I can figure out where I want to put my flat spot on this. So then I'll just make my mark on that, and that's where I'll flatten that. So I'll go ahead and get started on drilling these holes, and I've noticed that I have to trim a little bit off the top here, so I'm probably going to take a file to it and trim that little bit off the top, because I'd like to set something flat on here, like for instance something like that, and be able to set it up against there like that, but with that little lip where on the end of it, this side's flat. it's below the black surface. This is a little over the black surface, so I can take this flat and just put it up there, and I'll know I'll be square. I know that this will be running square in the hole. So we'll get that done and we'll be back. Alright, now we've got this mounted to the bracket, and we've measured where we're going to go with it, and I've drawn my 2 marks for my holes. So now we get to take and tighten this up so it don't vibrate on us while we're hitting it, so we get a good solid hit, and hope we hit. My eyesight's getting a little hard to deal with. And then we're just going to punch that. And we're going to punch that. So now we've got our holes punched where we're going to drill. So now we're going to find us a drill and drill bit and a tap. We got to make sure that whatever size screw I have or going to use, that I have the right tap for it, because I'm kind of limited on my taps. I had to go get my brand new bits, so let's see if that works. I went with an 1/8, and we're going to get the holes first with the 1/8 inch. Then we're just going to step it up to the 9/64. So now, since I had to go a bigger size because I didn't have the tap for the smaller one, and I'm mad about that. But anyway, we got these little short stubby screws that we're going to use. And I think it's deep enough. Let's check the other hole. It worked out pretty good. I went just deep enough, didn't I? Alright, cool. Alright, so now since I had to go with a bigger one, I got to drill the plate out a little bit. So we'll take the plate. Alright, now we got a plate done. Put a screw in. We're going to have to do some cable management so that it will go with the tailstock. That's the only bad thing. It'd be nice if it was wireless. Now I've got that straight across. Alright, so now we got to figure out where we're going to put our mark. So we're going to back that up, and we're going to have to take our wheel off momentarily. Well, let's see. I don't know if I can't get a scratcher back in there, I don't think. I need to get a scratcher back inside the back side of there. See if we can mark that. I got it, did mark. Alright, we're going to take this over to bandsaw and cut it, and we'll be back. Alright, so now we've got our piece made, and it's going to slide on there, and just as I suspected, I'm going to have to put a thin washer in between it for a shim, and that's no big deal. So now we need to bring this out. We got to drill our hole in there into the rail, and put our set screws in here. I don't know if I want to put a set screw on the top. I think I'd rather do the set screws on the back side, and I'll bring you guys over and let you go. So there we have our piece mounted here, and this here will be square with the top, and then we just got a little bit of a shim to put in here in this side right here. So basically what we're going to do is drill a hole in this. So we got to find out where we want that. So the first thing I'm going to do is mark that. And then all this here will be trimmed off right here on both of these. And then this will be trimmed off from here up. We just kind of round it a little bit from starting from here so that it meets here. And then we'll start right here and just kind of feather round that around. So first thing I need to do, that's level with the front of this. So I'm going to make a mark right here. Alright, now we get to take our DRO back off. You can pull these slides out. In fact, I think I will. You can pull these out. So now we've got our mark right there. Now we're just going to take and draw that straight across when we get our square on it. Now I'll square this off, and then I'll just draw me an X from this point to this point, and from this point to this point, and then drill a hole directly in the center. So I'm going to go do that, and we'll be back. And just in case you guys wanted to see what I got going on here, you can see I've got an X, and that marks center. Alright, so now we've got our hole drilled, and we get to slip that back in there. Alright, so now what we need to do is put our set screws in, because I don't want to drill my hole and then find that I had it in the wrong location, and you can't just come off to the side a little bit and re-drill. I mean, you're just going to mess the hole up. So we need to get this positioned in the right position so that we know what we need to go in between there. Now I can probably just take a washer and put in between there, and see that's too thick. So we need a thin washer. Alright, I've got these plastic washers. Let's see if it's thin enough. Yeah, I think that washer will do fine. Alright, so now we're going to put our set screw. I'm going to put one right here, and I think I'm going to put one right here. We'll find out. I'm having a problem with set screws and taps and dies and everything else. Trying to find the right stuff, and we might have to use a regular screw with a Allen head on top of it to use as our set screw. So we'll go ahead and find our centers here and our centers here, and drill and tap those out for a set screw. So probably go with 1/4 so that my brass rod that goes in between it is going to be big enough to cover a wider area. So we're going to go ahead and mark that. So we're going to mark this side here and this side. That way when we're over there we ain't making a mistake and putting the set screw in the wrong place. So we'll take our washer out, and then we'll go over there and mark that where it's going to be, and we'll be back. Alright, now we've got our pins made. Now all we got to do is just cut that in half. Use one pin for the one set screw and the other pin for the other set screw. Alright, so now I've got my close to being made done, and this is what she's going to look like, just like that. Now we've decided to go ahead and do this, put our washer in there, but for now what I've made is I'm going to use these for set screws, 1/4 x 20, and then I made a couple pins. This one needs to be grounded a little bit. What we've made is a couple pins out of brass, and we're going to stick that one in the side here. Then we're going to put our set screw in, just a couple threads, and then we'll do the same thing to here. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and stick this on there, and we'll go ahead and stick our washer in there to make sure it's lined up correct. So now we've got that square. Now all we got to do is wrench it down. Well, that set screw's not going to work there. So we got to make a new set screw. But for the time being, we're going to use this one. This is the one we're going to make the set screw out of. I just got to find a second one. I know I've got a second one to match. And that's a 1/4 inch. Takes a 1/4 inch wrench to operate it. So now looks like we're flush right there. So we can go ahead and tighten this one up. And then we'll tighten this one up. So now, whenever that goes out, this goes with it. Look how loose that is in there, it groove. It's probably a good thing it does have a little flex. So now, let's check this, make sure that we can get these out. It's in, and it misses. Alright, that one's tight. And we got it. So that's cool. Let's give it a good. Alright, so we have enough room to take care of that. So now, I lost my washer down here somewhere. I heard it hit, and I didn't pay any attention to it. There it is. Alright, so now we've got our washer in there. Alright, that's good. Now we're going to go ahead and punch that hole. Alright, so now we're going to stick this in here, and we're going to try to find center. Alright, now we got our mark. So let's go ahead and take this back off. And don't forget, you don't want to lose your brass pieces. So we'll take them out. Alright, now I'm going to take that over and I'm going to tap that out, drill and tap it, and we'll be back. Alright, so now we've got our spacers made, or our pins, or what do you want to call them? Brass pins. Alright, so now we'll put that up on there. Then we'll take our bushing, put it in there. Then we'll take our screw, get it ready to push the bushing into it. Just snug that down, and we'll snug that down, and then eventually I'll have both of these to be the same. So now we've got the DRO should be working. So let's zero that, and look at there. That'll work. Yep, that'll work. So now we got our DRO working. So now that we're done with that, now I want to shorten this set screw, and I've got another one of these that I want to put down here. And then I want to do some trimming here. I want to trim from here and just kind of feather that into this, and then just kind of round that off a little bit. Same thing down here, and then same thing right here. And we're just going to kind of feather that around. So I'm going to make those marks. So right here is where that starts. And then the rest of it I'll just play it by ear. It probably wouldn't hurt to just go ahead and make them all exactly like this. Except for this one you can't, because you can't go down any further than this. So we want to stop that one there. Might just leave it the way it is and just corner that, or 45 that one. You know, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to 45 these two to match this side and be done with it. So let me take this back apart. My battery's getting ready to die on me. We'll go ahead and put a fresh battery in it while I'm doing this. Alright, we'll take this back apart. This is the thing about making stuff. You got to take it apart so many times. But it's necessary to do a decent job. So I'm going to go and 45 those to match this one, and just kind of round it a little bit, and we're going to be done with this. And now we have the finished product, and I thought I'd come back and show you for the last time my DRO system for the Grizzly g0602 lathe. I got my set screws for the side. I've got brass pins inside there so that it will go up against the ram and won't mar it up. I've got the second set screw right there on the bottom. Same thing, I got a brass sleeve in it for pin. Then we got plastic washer in between this and the bracket with a screw. Tap this out and the screw holds that on with that rubber washer or plastic washer in there. Alright, and then I added something to it. I thought, you know what, this tool should do two things. It should be DRO and a stop. So what I did was I ran it out. I put that block on it. I just took the part that I cut off of the end, brought it over here, set it on there, figured out where I wanted to be able to stop so that I don't run this ram out. I've run this thing out so many times and it started spinning and I was afraid it was going to tear something up. So now that thing's up against there, it won't go no further, and it's at full length. So that was all the trouble I had to begin with anyway. So I think this is going to be a work in progress, or a good working product. And what I did, I ran the wire down underneath, kind of tight as I wanted to without pinching it. And then it comes up, and I took some two-sided tape and put it on the other side of this and stuck it to the back side of it. So now I can just slip my wires in it. And then I run it up here in the middle with one of them rare earth hard drive magnets and pin the wire up. Used all my little alligator clip, or my little clips. Put my DRO right here. Zero it out. And start moving the tailstock. And all the way in. You'll take your chuck off. Same way with this. There we go. Works like a charm. We got it tight. Alright, what's going on here? There it is. Alright. So anyway, I got sidetracked there. But there is the finished product. You got your stop to keep your RAM from running out. Your sensor bolted to the bracket that mounts right to the front. And there you go. So far we've done new oilers, DRO, and quick change tool post are the 3 upgrades I've done to this. Oh, wait a minute. 4 upgrades. I upgraded by putting a rod holder in to hold the chuck. So you just kind of push that in, and now you can lock or take the chuck off. As soon as you're done, pull it out, and you're back to running again. So we got 1 oiler, 2 oilers, 3 oilers, and then I've got another one that I'm going to put right here for that one. And these here, I'm just going to pull the oilers clear out of it, and I'm going to make me some brass caps to just set down on there. And that way it won't be no higher than maybe 1/8 inch tall. So that's what we're going to do there. Anyway, there's the DRO for the Bison Workshop to upgrade the g0602 lathe. Also, epoxied a magnet to my DRO, my cheap Chinese one, which is actually, I think, better than my... I know I'm going to get hate mail for this one. Stare it. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to compare that. Anyway, you guys have a good one. I'm Bob. Later.